Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about why coding is so important now that we've kind of got a base level understanding about what coding is. Um, Only 25% of high school computer science students, university computer science graduates, and people employed in tech fields are female, only 25%. So that's a huge discrepancy between females and males in these fields. I feel that it is our responsibility as educators to promote computer science amongst all of our students, not just one type of student. We need to introduce it to them and expose them to it so that they are more likely to join this field and join something that they didn't necessarily know was an option for them, because it very much is an option for them. Um, some of our greatest computer scientists today are female, of course. And another interesting statistic, women who try AP computer science in high school are 10 times more likely to major in it. And Black and Latinx students are 7 times more likely to major in it, just if they are exposed to it for 1 year of high school. So again, I feel that it is important for us to make sure that our students are having exposure to computer science and to coding so that that's a field they can choose to go into if they want to. That doesn't mean that all students we expose to this will choose that field, but a lot more of them will than maybe before. Okay. So, sorry, I'm having some weird clicking issues again. Okay, so hour of code. Anyone anywhere can organize an hour of code event. We keep hearing hour of code, hour of code. How do we get involved in that? Here's how we get involved. In my slideshow, a lot of these photos are links, including this one right here. So I will share these slides with you at the end so that you have access to all of this. So if we click here and we go to hourofcode.com, we see more about Hour of Code. When you join Hour of Code, you're going to type in your name, your email, where you're at in the world, what type of event you're having. And this is no major commitment. Don't think that if you're signing up for Hour of Code, that it's going to be a specific day of the week or time that you're super committed to. It's not like that. It's just that code.org wants to see where in the world people are coding from during Computer Science Week, which again is next week. So you just type in this basic information, what you're doing. In fact, I actually registered for Hour of Code on this website, and I just put that I'm an organization and that I'm doing a webinar on coding, and that's it. So I committed to Hour of Code in that way. It's not super serious, but it just lets everyone else know, hey, I'm doing this cool thing. And then you can share that and try to get other educators that you know signed up for Hour of Code as well. So that's all you do. And then you see this great big map up here at the top where other educators and people in the world have registered for Hour of Code events. Tonight, we're one of them, of course, right here somewhere, located in Virginia, as I believe all of you probably are as well. So just a really cool thing for us to look at, and it tells us a little bit more about Hour of Code, what it is. It gives us some great coding resources, who all's doing it, all sorts of stuff like that. Go back to my slides. All right. So now let's start diving into some actual coding activities that you can take away from this presentation tonight and use with your students. And I want to start with unplugged coding activities. And unplugged is actually one of the words that I saw in that brief survey in the beginning. And I'm so glad somebody said that. You can start really slow with coding. You do not have to jump into JavaScript coding with symbols and numbers and really confusing softwares. It does not have to be like that at all. You can start with some unplugged activities, which means you're not even touching a computer or a phone or a robot or any sort of device. These are some activities that I used pretty often with elementary school students. However, they're great for any age, and you can make them your own. You can modify them and change things so that they're more appropriate for the group of students that you're working with. This very first unplugged coding activity is called binary bracelets. I have done this with kindergartners, and I have done this with middle schoolers as well. And both of those groups enjoyed it very much. So these are really diverse activities to use with our students. So binary bracelets. And again, like I said, I like to include a lot of links. A lot of my pictures are linked. This one is also down in the notes. I have the link for this as well. If you click on this and we go out to this website, it's actually a code.org activity. I didn't make this up myself. I borrowed this from code.org to share with other people. And there is a whole lesson plan here with all of the vocabulary and the materials and the step-by-step pieces that you need to make this lesson successful. It includes some important vocabulary, in this case, binary, which is a way of representing information using only two options. So vocabulary is very important when we're teaching our students coding and computer science. There's in the computer science SOLs, there's a whole list of vocabulary for each grade level that students should know regarding computer science. Binary is one of them. And this is one that I, like I said, start off with in kindergarten classrooms. So let's talk about binary bracelets. So what you would do is you would get a bunch of black beads and a bunch of white beads. And you get string, bracelet size string for each of your students. And then this chart right here, which I pulled right out of the lesson plan, I put that up on my smart board in the classroom. And I also printed one out for each table in the classroom as well. So students have it up on the board, but also right in front of them. And then they just have to spell out their name using binary codes. So my first name is Janie. So we'll do the coding for my name. And we probably won't do my whole name because it takes a minute. Here's my digital string, and here are my digital beads. So you could do this as a digital lesson with your students as well. You could throw this slide up onto a learning management system and have them do it. But of course, it is more fun in person if you have the means to do so. So first I would find J over here on the chart. J is this binary sequence that we see right here. Sequence is another great word to teach our students for coding and also just language arts as well. So J is black, white, black, black, white, black, white, black. Okay, so that's just the J. And then I would go ahead and do the same thing for the A, black, white, black, 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 white. And I would go through every letter of my first name until I have this string full of beads. I usually just do first names, last name usually ends up a little too long unless you're making necklaces, which is, great too. And then the students were always really, really proud of these, especially the kindergartners, because, the kindergarten students tend to do a lot of crafts in class. But this is one that they felt like they could go home and explain to their parents, and they knew something that their parents didn't. And it was like this cool secret code bracelet that they made, and only they knew what it meant. And they got to explain it to all their friends and explain to their parents what they did. And I always recommended to the teachers as well, print out part of that lesson plan, or at the very least this chart, and send it home with parents through, Dojo or Seesaw, or print it out and send it home, so that you can kind of get the parents involved as well and let them know what you're working on. This is also a great activity for, I know a lot of schools have STEM nights or computer science nights or coding nights, where they invite families into the schools to do some computer science activities. And I always found that this was a really great one for parents and students to do together at those STEM nights that we have in our schools. So moving on, I have another unplugged activity. This one is called Getting Loopy. Again, there's a whole lesson plan that goes along with Getting Loopy. And this lesson focuses on loops. When we're talking about computer science and coding, loops are an event that happens over and over and over again. So for instance, in this lesson plan, we're making a dance. And what this teacher did was took pictures of herself doing different dance moves. So we see her doing a clap, behind head, waist, right? And then she put them together on a Google slide for students. And then all together, this is a dance, clap, 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 behind head, waist, behind head, waist. It's a whole dance move choreographed situation. So what we want to teach the students here is that instead of being repetitive and saying clap, clap, clap over and over again, we can actually get rid of these two clap cards or pictures, whatever you want to call them. And we can just say, oh, to start out the dance, you clap 3 times. So this clap 3 times is the same thing as having clap, 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 3 clap cards, but it's just a little abbreviated. It's shortened and doesn't take up so much space. And that becomes really important in coding, is doing as many actions as possible, but in the least amount of space, the least amount of moves. So then for the next line, behind head, waist, behind head, waist, we could get rid of this second behind head, waist. I'm going to do a copy paste here. And we could just say behind head, waist times 2. So we know we're going to do this 2 times. And then we would go on. Again, here we could get rid of these 2 claps and just say times 2. And that's basically the premise of a loop when we're coding. And then, of course, the lesson plan goes on to actually play music and have the kids do these dances, and then come up with some dances of their own that include looping and having them do the same thing, taking out some of the repetitive pictures or repetitive cards and replacing it with a times 3 or times 2 or whatever it may be. Moving on to the last unplugged activity I want to talk about today, conditionals with cards. This is another really great one that I had used in the classroom. So it's very easy. All you need is a deck of cards. And conditionals in coding, that's another important vocabulary word that you hear a lot when coding. Conditionals are those statements that say if, when, or if, else. So for example, right here, if I draw a red card, everyone claps their hands. Else, everyone snaps their fingers. so that as the teacher, I would pull a card. And if it was a red card, all of the students should start clapping their hands. But if it's not a red card, if it's a black card, they should start snapping their fingers. I might also say, if I draw an ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, everyone does jumping jacks. Else, everyone touches their toes. And we would do activities like that in the classroom. I know if and else, especially the else part, sounds kind of awkward, but the reason we use that awkward wording is because that's exactly how it is used in coding and computer science. If and else are the two big conditional terms. So let's practice right here, right now, our group, our Zoom tonight. If I draw an even number or a face card, everyone in this Zoom has to comment their favorite food in the chat. Else, everyone comments their favorite animal in the chat. So if I draw an even or a face card, we'll comment our favorite food. But if I draw something else, you'll comment your favorite animal. All right, I'm going to draw a card. Oop, there it is. It's an 8 of hearts. So go ahead and think about it and then make your move. So if I draw an even number or a face card, or commenting our favorite food, else we'll comment our favorite animal. Now I'm getting hungry because I see a lot of great foods. And we should have commented a food. I said if I draw an even number or a face card, and I drew an 8, which is an even number, we comment our favorite food in the chat. So if it would have been an odd number, then we would have put our favorite animal. Great job. So it's as easy as that. And you can get as creative with it as you want in your classroom. And of course, there's a lesson plan to match that as well. So I want to move on from unplugged activities and get into the coding activities that actually involve a device, a computer, a cell phone, something of the sort. A really great way to introduce your students to coding is through coding games. I usually start with those unplugged activities because they're very basic and easy and great for teaching coding vocabulary. And then I move on to games because every student loves games. They're very engaging, they're fun to look at, and a really great way to get introduced to very basic level coding. So these are all some of my favorite websites that have free coding games on them for you to use with your students. Most of these are, well, they're all safe to use in schools. But in my experience, most of these were also allowed in schools. You know, we have a big block list of websites when we're teachers. When I was teaching, these were all open for us to use, but of course, just double check with your division because all divisions are different with what they allow and don't allow as far as websites go. But these are pretty common ones that are usually open. So I want to show you, these are all linked, by the way. So if you click on one, it's going to lead you right to that site. Tinker does not require accounts. You may need an account for some things in there, but there are a lot of basic games in Tinker that don't require accounts. Someone asked that in the chat. Okay, so I want to show you Code Monster. It's one of my favorites. This is actually a Java coding site, and it's very, very simple. And I'll admit, Java is my least favorite type of coding. It's the most difficult for me. I don't really understand it, but I do understand the Code Monster. It's easy to follow along. So you get here, he's like, I'm Code Monster. Click on my words to see what's next. And here's some Java right here, by the way. And he's going to tell us how to manipulate that JavaScript to change the appearance of this rectangle. You're going to learn some programming, JavaScript. Okay, see the number 50? Yes, I do. Can you change that to 150? Of course I can. Click, add a 1. My rectangle changed. So I can see firsthand here that something I changed in the JavaScript made the appearance of this rectangle on my screen also change. So I can directly correlate these two things. Okay, great, I did it. That made the box wider. What do you think the other numbers do? Try changing them. Okay, I have no idea what they do. So let's find out. Let's make this 20 a 50. Okay, let's make this one a 10. So that moves it up and down. And let's make this 75 a 200. Okay, so that made it taller. And this just goes through a whole bunch of slides. On each slide, you have to do something different. Like I said, really great because you can see exactly how your JavaScript changing is changing this image over here. Very basic, really good introduction. I always use this when I explain JavaScript to students because, to be honest, I don't really know how to do JavaScript without this guy. He's great. He has saved me a whole bunch of times. So I also want to show you code.org, which is this one right here. There are a whole bunch of free games on code.org that lead out to other great websites as well. These are all free. It tells you what grade level it's appropriate for. There's lots of fun graphics. There's dance parties and things of the sort. One of my favorites on here is this shark coding game. Here it is. Start. Code, shark attack. I love sharks. It's one of my favorite animals. So you can sign in if you want to save it. I don't. I just plow through this free version of it. First, we'll plop a shark into the vast ocean, and then we will make it move. Got it. And this looks like a lot, but luckily this site tells me exactly what I need to do. We're getting into some block coding here, which is literally just these blocks that we see out here on our plane. And we put blocks here, and the blocks tell our little computer system right here what to do. So we literally have easy directions. From the scene category, drag set background color to blank into the on start container. All right, so we see it. Set background color to, and we can change it to whatever we want. And you see it changes on the screen over here. We'll do this blue color. Okay. Next, click the gray oval. Yep, I just did that. Nice deep ocean color. When we feel comfortable, we can move on to the next one. Drag set my sprite. So it's going to be in controller, move my sprite. And we would just drag this out here. Excuse me. And it's going to give us step-by-step directions. Click the gray box, toggle to my assets. Sprites. We can make our sprites. So I don't want to go through, spend too much time in here, but like I showed you, it just gives you these step-by-step directions to be able to change the screen over here. Okay, let me head back to my games. All right, and I'm going to show you my favorite one, which we're going to spend a little more time on, and that is the Minecraft coding game. Okay, So there is a little introduction video here to this Minecraft coding game. I'm going to go ahead and skip that for now. He just talks about the Minecraft characters. The reason I love this game so much is because kids love Minecraft. My kid loves it. Students love it. And this is a really, really easy one, which you will see. And it goes by level. So I'm going to select Alex, I guess. All right. And again, it's giving me step-by-step directions. And I feel like this site is easier than most others. Okay. It says add a second move forward block to reach the sheep. Okay. So we see our sheep over here. And we see when run, which is this, when we click run, the sheep will move forward. The directions told us add a second move forward block to the sheep. So I'm going to grab a second one, put it here. Now it says hit run to try your program. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that was not moving my sheep. It was moving my body towards the sheep, but congratulations, I completed level 1. So I'm going to continue. Okay, we're on level 2. Wood is a very important resource. Many things are made from it. Walk to the tree and use the destroy block command to chop it down. So here's me. I have to walk forward to the tree and I have to chop the tree down. So when we click run, I want to move forward, but I don't just want to move forward once because I see 2 blocks here. I want to move forward twice. So if I move forward twice, I should be at the tree, and then I have to cut it down, which the directions told me I used destroy. So I'm pretty confident that I will walk towards the tree 2 times and I will cut it down. Let's see what happens. Perfect. Now, another great thing is that if we click on this drop-down arrow that says show code, it does actually show me some Java here for what I did with the blocks, which is, again, really great if you're teaching JavaScript to students. Block coding is pretty basic and students get a hang of it really quickly. So if they're comfortable with block coding, we can use this to introduce Java, which in my opinion is a more difficult level of coding. Okay. So let me go. Oh, did I hit replay? Well, that's okay. So if we look at the top here, there are a whole bunch of levels. There are 14 levels to this game, and they get increasingly harder each time. I know that we are in a webinar tonight, and it can be a little hard in webinar style to get hands-on, but we're going to go ahead and try our best tonight. What I have planned for you is a little coding contest. So we are going to play that Minecraft coding game I just showed you, because I do feel like it's a pretty basic one. It's a pretty easy one to follow. The shark one can be difficult. Some others can be difficult, but this is always a really good one that I show my students and other teachers. It's fun. It's very addicting. When I tried it out, I ended up going through all 14 levels and I literally just could not stop myself. So we're going to do a 5-minute competition, and you're going to do this on your own device. And we're going to see who can get to the highest level within 5 minutes. I'm going to give you a link here and a QR code in a minute. So you can do it on a computer, you could do it on your cell phone. And I'm going to have a 5-minute timer up on the screen. I'll butt in every couple of minutes or so to let you know where we're at. And then when we're finished, when that timer goes off, if you feel comfortable, I would like you to share with me what level you got to, and we'll see who got the furthest. If you're not comfortable with that, that's okay. You do not have to share. Um, and nobody else can see your screen at this time. So this is a really nice built-in time for you to try this out. Maybe this is your first time ever coding, and that's great because no one's watching. You're not in a room with anybody else. You can just give it a try and see how it goes. All right, so I'm going to give you like 30 seconds here to get going, but I have the information for this game up on the screen. You can either type in bit.ly/WHRO coding, or you can use your camera to scan this QR code. Both of these options are going to take you directly to the Minecraft coding game that I just showed you on code.org. And in about 15 more seconds, I'm going to start our 5-minute timer. And then I'm just going to give you 5 minutes of silence to focus on your coding. And then we'll reconvene and see how you did. And we'll wrap up by talking about some other things. All right, so I'll give you about 10 more seconds to get there before I start our timer, our video. All right, the timer is going. We have 5 minutes. I'll cut in a couple times here to let you know what the timer says. Good luck, happy coding. Let's see who can get to the highest Minecraft level. And thank you for participating. I know it's not as exciting as if we were all in a room together, but this is the best way I could think of to get your hands on some coding. So go ahead, have fun. We are at about 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes left. We have about 2.5 minutes left. 1 minute and 30 seconds left. One minute. Thirty seconds left of coding. Twenty seconds left. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Wow, that was a loud noise. All right, come back to us, please, from your Minecraft coding. And I have another Slido here. Let me go ahead and get into Slido mode. All right, so like I mentioned, if you feel comfortable sharing, I would love to know what was the highest level that you completed in your coding. So not the level that you were currently on necessarily, but the highest level that you were able to successfully complete in the Minecraft game. Again, you can scan the QR code here to join the Slido, or you can join us at slido.com. You can share your name with us if you feel comfortable with that, but you do not have to. You can just put a number in here or not answer at all if you're not okay with that. Wow. 5 minutes is not a lot of time to code. Like, we have some people in here who are doing a level per minute or even better. That's incredible. Wow. I am very, very impressed. These are really great numbers. So I'm interested. I didn't include this in my question, in my Slido question. Keep active. But I would like to know in the chat, was this Minecraft game anyone's first time coding ever? Did anyone do the Minecraft coding and it was their first time ever coding something or doing something like that? Or if you have other experience coding, feel free to share that too. That's interesting as well. Only tried Osmo. I love Osmo. Osmo is similar, but slightly different. So very impressive. Okay. Second time, first time with Minecraft. Awesome. Last year was my first hour of code year. Perfect. Thanks for sharing. So if you do go all the way to the end of that Minecraft game or any of the games on code.org, you get this really great certificate of completion at the end that you get to put your name in, and you can print that out or virtually send it to parents or, whatever it may be. So I do want to talk briefly in our last moments here about furthering our block coding. The Minecraft game was block coding, but it was, a game with levels that we had to complete and directions and things like that. So block coding from scratch means you're just starting with a blank surface, nothing there, and you're building from nothing, literally from scratch. My 3 favorite block coding sites that are free are Code, Scratch, and Tinker. We're not really going to build anything in Scratch tonight for time's sake, but I will show you what it looks like. Scratch is my personal favorite to use. And there are projects in here that you can go off of, or you can just create a blank new plane and start building from there. You can add in characters, which are also known as sprites in coding world. So this little cat here is a sprite. You can add backgrounds. You can make your sprites or your characters move around. So see, we're starting here with basically nothing. We're pretty much blank. And then we would pull out all of these blocks onto the plane, to make our cat move around and to turn and to glide and face a different direction. And we can have the cat make certain sounds. We can make him meow if we pull out one of those blocks. So when I click on start, I should see the cat move and make a sound. And then we would play around with that. And from there, we can make all sorts of stories and almost videos and graphics and informational pieces and projects. There's really a lot that you can create. You can join this with any SOL that you're working on. I'm actually going to a school in Suffolk next week, and we're doing a Scratch activity together. And I looked at their pacing calendar before I made the lesson plan for them. And, we're going to go into Scratch Junior, and we're going to build some graphics about Virginia regions, so we can really integrate computer science with any other topic that we're already working on in our classrooms, which is really great. Here are just 2 things that I have created with Scratch coding, obviously from scratch. These were nothing, and I created them back when I was a teacher, and I had my students do similar projects. So this one on the left is water cycle related, and I built this background by myself, and then I built a raindrop, and I used coding blocks to make that raindrop move around my image here, just as a raindrop moves through the water cycle in nature. And then I also created this one that was geometry related, where this boy comes in and talks about shapes and geometry. And then we click on all these different shapes, and we learn about quadrilaterals and how many angles they have, how many sides they have. So we combined our coding with science and then with math. Okay, so my next slide, we're reaching the end here now. These are some honorable mention slides. We're not going to focus too much on robots because we're not in person, face-to-face with our hands on robots. And also robots obviously cost money. And I wanted to make sure that the things I focused on tonight were free for you. However, these are all robots that I have used in the past. I saw in the comments, the chat, that a lot of you are using these robots in your classes as well, which is really, really awesome. These are the ones that I recommend that are easy to get going with. And again, don't be afraid of these because they're pretty easy. Most of them are, at least. For example, the B-bot down here, which by the way, if you click on it, it leads to a YouTube video on how to use it. The B-bot has little arrow buttons on its back, and that's all you do. You press the forward arrow for it to move forward, side, back, so on and so forth, really great for pre-K kindergarten. This guy right here with the huge eyeball, the Dash robot, he connects to an app on an iPad, and that iPad app just has very basic block coding, just like what we did in the Minecraft game where we told the guy on the screen to move forward. Same thing, except in this case, it connects to a robot, and you tell the robot to move forward 2 spaces, and he does. Very simple. And then Osmo, we talked about earlier, that's this right here. It's an add-on for an iPad, and it has a coding game, and students actually move around these tangible pieces. This little red thing on the top of the iPad is like a little camera monitor thing, and it picks up where the pieces are. So students can physically move pieces around in their hands and see the effects of that coding right up here on their iPad screen. This is a choice board that I made for Hour of Code. I highly suggest using this with your students next week to provide them an hour of code. You can steal this from me, definitely modify it to whatever works for you and your students. You can put this in your learning management system and tell your students, all right, we're doing an hour of code today. You have 1 hour. You can do whatever coding activity you want, but it has to be from this choice board. So we're giving our students choice. We're giving them a voice in their own learning. They can do whatever they want as long as it is coding related and approved by you on this board. And these, of course, are all hyperlinked out to games and lesson plans and stuff like that. On this slide, this leads to code.org as well. And it leads to a website that has tons of free posters that you can print out, stickers, banners to put on social media, and more things that you can use in your classroom to get your students really hyped up about Hour of Code and computer science. Those are really great. I always printed them out and put them in my classroom. And then I printed out the stickers as well, and I would stick them on the students after they did their Hour of Code activity so that they could go home, and that could be a conversation starter. When they get home to their parents and family members at home, they could talk about the coding they did at school that day. This slide leads to a Teachers Pay Teachers. It's a free resource. This person has put together vocabulary coding posters. These are also really great. I printed them out as a teacher and I put them on my classroom door. So every time students lined up and left for lunch or whatever, they got to see these vocabulary words in front of them again. I've also created 2 playlists or collections for you on emediava.org. One covers computer science topics for elementary age students, and the other collection is computer science for secondary age students, and those links are included here. And then your last little bit is some homework. I'm not going to make you answer this Slido because we're right at our ending time, but I just want you to get involved in coding. I want you to do an hour of code in your classroom. It can be something very simple, or if you're experienced, it can be a little more advanced. I just want you to try it out with your students, even if it is just for that 1 hour, and that's it. That's okay, because it's more than what you were doing, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for growth. We just want to get our students exposed and involved, and then once they know it exists, they can go ahead and make future decisions about how they choose to interact with computer science moving forward. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. We're going to end here, but I will stay on for a little bit just in case you have any questions I didn't get to. I do have a survey for you. Please take it on a computer, not a cell phone, because the end of the survey is going to give you your participation for tonight, your participation certificate for tonight, and it's easier to access if you're on a computer. If you don't have time for it right now, don't worry about it, because I'm also going to send you an email tomorrow with a copy of my slides and the link to the survey. So you'll have access to all that tomorrow. Also, the recording of this session, I'll send out to you as well. So again, thank you so much. And you can go ahead and head out. Have a great night. Have a great week and a great upcoming holiday season. But feel free to stick around if you have any questions that I didn't hit while I was talking. Thank you so much. All right, I don't see any additional questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and end the session for us tonight. So everybody have a great night, and I'll send that email out to you all tomorrow with a follow-up.